Hello everyone and welcome to my part 1 of a detailed Arc Witch Elementalist leveling guide for 3.17 Siege of the Atlas. A couple of high level pointers and disclaimers first. First of all, this is only part 1, there will be part 2, part 3 and so on, otherwise it will get too long. Secondly, I do not claim this to be the most efficient or speedrun friendly leveling method, it is simply how I level. In the early levels, in general, all we're trying to do is get as much damage as possible while implementing a mechanism that will help us to keep our enemies at bay. People achieve that using different methods, very different methods, sometimes using totems, sometimes using something else. I use supporting minions, zombies, and I don't invest too much into them. They just run around as they are, add a little bit of damage and distract enemies. This is, as I said, a detailed guide, so it will be fairly long, even in individual parts. Even this part number 1 is going to be fairly long, part number 2 is going to be fairly long. So definitely check the description of the video for the timestamps to fast forward if you really need to. Any updates, corrections, clarifications will be added to the description of the video below. Please expand it and take a look at it. If you're checking this video a little bit after its publishing date, it's a very good idea to take a look at that. I'll be updating it for any extra information or corrections. With all of this being said, let's level our witch. You start leveling process as a witch with Fireball. Obviously you don't have much of a choice there, and at level 2, as soon as you enter Lion's Eye Watch, you replace Fireball with the first reward that you get, Freezing Pulse. At this point, roughly around this point, you can choose to level either with 2 wands for a little bit more damage or a wand and a shield for a little bit more defensive layers. It is not super important at this stage and it is really up to you. At this stage, I recommend that you buy Raise Zombie Gem for extra help, again, to start with. They will just be these passive meat shields, keeping enemies at bay a little bit for you. It helps, trust me. Around level 4, you go to the Tidal Island to kill Haildrake and get the medicine chest for the quest back in town. In this particular case, you will get exposure to Arch Nemesis League mechanic, which is a new league mechanic where you see these specific altars scattered around the map. There are multiple altars, up to 4 towards the end game, but maybe up to 3 in these early maps, only up to 3. What you need to do first, you first need to not try to activate these altars, it won't work. You need to run around, kill enemies for your quest objectives and for leveling experience obviously, and wait for that little modifier to drop, that little keystone if you like, something that would allow you to activate that statue, activate that Arch Nemesis altar. As far as picking further gems to boost your damage, I would take Elemental Proliferation when it's offered to you. For now, to use as an, if you have an extra gem slot in your weapons or in your armor, wherever it is. We're doing that because we don't have a better choice for now. Also, or alternatively, you can get Summon Phantasm support around this level, level 4, level 5, to help your early damage output with the Summon Swarm of weak but rather annoying minions. Around level 6 you enter Mud Flats, as in you will enter Mud Flats probably a bit before that, but I recommend that you clear the objectives of this map before you go towards the side quest of Fetid Pool. I go to Fetid Pool to not have any issues there around level 6. I don't recommend that you go there earlier. Around level 7, 6, 7 you would be clearing the Necromancer in Fetid Pool. At that point in time, around level 7 you would take Arcanist's Dominion skill in your passive skill tree as the first and powerful and rather impactful skill point that you will spend and start feeling a little bit like you're getting a bit stronger. After clearing Fetid Pool and opening the Submerged Passage, I would save on traveling back to town for a single objective. I would finish both objectives, then I would go back to town, cash in for both of the rewards at Darklay, and he will give you Frost Blink, which we will start using for movement. I typically bind my movement to right click of the mouse, but that is up to you how you want to keybind. This is not a keybind recommendations guide. I would also pick here Orb of Storms. Orb of Storms is not super duper useful at this level bracket, but you might choose to use it for extra damage output, to drop it around bosses and rare monsters. Do not waste time on it, otherwise I would not use it just for clearing of the maps. Around level 9, after killing Dweller of the Deep, you would continue capitalizing on Arch-Nemesis encounters, because at this stage they offer you quite a lot of rare and even unique items. They're like loot piñatas at this stage. It's really good. Do not skip on them if you can activate them, if you found any of those keystone modifiers. For zombies at this stage, this is not a minion build, and it is not an intent for this build to be a meme build either, but at this stage we want to get as much damage, as I said, as we can. So around this time you get access to Ruthless support, which is one of those basic melee damage supports that you can put into a second slot there, gem slot, for your zombies, if you found this support and if you can be bothered, but I would do that. Around level 11 you would enter Lower Prison and be offered to go back to town for help, where you would go, and this is when for help the people in the village, they will give you some added damage support. Added damage has been buffed in 3.17, so I would immediately take lightning damage support or combustion support, but in this particular case we're building lightning based witch, so you would get it for free. And then also I recommend to not be too picky again at this stage and simply buy combustion support 2 to add it to your supported gems. For example, to Orb of Storms. Yes, I know it's a bit cringe, but the more damage the merrier at this stage, don't be too picky. Around level 12, after killing Brutus in the upper prison, you will take Flame Dash and replace Frost Blink with it, because Flame Dash is the best movement skill out there. At level 13 you will take Arcane Will, second notable skill point in the passive skill tree, which will continue growing your overarching kind of strength. At levels 14, 15, you would go towards Lightning Walker, notable key point kind of there in the passive skill tree, and taking it to boost Arc straight away. You could get there earlier, but for me it happens around level 14, 15. 15 in this case you would get Arc as a reward from Nessa, right before meeting Merveil. So that you will around this time you continue investing in the skill points, boosting lightning damage further, and you start using Arc, which is going to be great. That is kinda brings you to level 16. We keep going up through elemental and lightning damage boosting skill tree nodes. As you kill Merveil, as you run around there, Merveil will die. There wouldn't be much of an issue because you should be putting out quite a lot of damage right now. I would still continue running with zombies as meat shields personally, but not worry about boosting them too much. This brings us to Forest Encampment, Act 2. We start obviously in Riverways, helping Aina the Hunter. Don't forget that you're not a tank and don't have many defensive layers at all, because this is where the incoming damage from the enemies kinda could ramp up a little bit. So your zombies are weak, your Arc isn't terribly powerful just yet and isn't really a lightning machine gun just yet. It means that if you start having too much fun and not watch where you stand or how many monsters are bashing on you, you will die. And it has nothing to do with the build, it's on you. You are building a glass cannon witch, and you should play it as such. From here, skill points wise, we are moving towards Cruel Preparation skill node to get a little bit more health. And then we move towards the very, very top of the tree, where there is that massive lightning notable skill node wheel, let's call it, with Heart of Thunder, notable key point. That is the one we are going to be heading for first. Around this time, and optionally, you could start taking advantage of the community market, because we're not playing solo self-found. So I would find and buy Vaal Arc and swap to Vaal Arc, simply because that alt fire button that Vaal Arc has compared to normal Arc gem is amazing and can help you clear the maps much faster, can help you just win. One button and I win, and it's a lot of fun to use as well, so I do recommend buying Vaal Arc around this time, unless you found it yourself. We will look for Weaver's Chambers while we are in Western Forest, and then kill some spiders to find Maligaros Spike before returning to Forest Encampment. After returning Maligaros Spike, you're given a bunch of rather useful gems. I personally would go for faster casting here, but you could be more elaborate and invest into your meat shield zombies, because we still rely on them. So you could take minion speed support, or even buy something like boosting minion life from Yina. I personally would not at this stage. Of course, we don't yet have a 4-socket item at this stage unless you were very lucky to find something like tabula rasa or buy it from the community market. So if you were to put it in right now, you would have to drop out one of the other support gems. I would wait a little longer. Once we start going towards Old Fields and Broken Bridge side of Act 2 map, we will finish the White Beast quest and take Bismuth Flask plus 35 elemental resistances, and that could be a lifesaver as a reward for that quest. Around level 22-23 we will finish the Bandits quest. We're still aligning with Alira, turning in the quest at Bestel in Lion's Eyes Watch, and then we are off to Chamber of Sins to investigate Intruders in Black. Once we rescued Helena and are back in town, we'll take Herald of Thunder gem as a reward from Groost, and you might as well equip it right now, because at this stage we don't have anything better, and the Herald of Thunder will add quite a bit of damage, and it's just fun to see how it works. There's lightning striking from above. You need every help you can get right now still with damage output. Around level 24 I would visit Menagerie for loot and currency. If you have an Orb of Alchemy at this stage, it is a great idea to once again go back to Community Market and search for Reverberation Rod wand. It costs about 1 alchemy orb. It's ridiculously cheap. It's an amazing wand for level 24 because it has a built-in spell echo. You double shot basically. That is what turns you into a machine gun and makes it even more fun to play. Levels 25-26, once you start ascending the Vaal pyramid, I would take Heart of Thunder, finally that topmost massive lightning boosting damage node. This is where we pause on progression in that massive lightning wheel of nodes. Yeah, we are not going to fill out the second right-hand side of it just yet, and we divert our skill tree path to some more health boosting and energy shield boosting health nodes. So we will possibly start moving towards practical application before we go off that way, the left-hand side of the passive skill tree. Practical application node will boost our elemental resistances further, and before we get it, it also will give us some extra balance of strength and dexterity, because we need to boost those stats a little bit as well in order to continue equipping better items. This brings us to around level 27-28, which is Sarn encampment, start of Act 3. We help Clarissa, we straight away go to Crematorium, find Tolman, take Zealotry Aura as a reward, and also I would buy Discipline Aura because we will start investing, as I said, into Energy Shield to start building our defensive layers around that time. This is when you would potentially have to drop Herald of Thunder and replace it with Zealotry, otherwise you won't have enough mana. And this is where I'm gonna stop, my friends. This is gonna be the first part of this, we're gonna finish the first part of this leveling guide, because as you saw, it's very, very detailed. There will be a second part, potentially the third part, and so on. Please leave a comment, please give it a like, this video, if you are interested in this kind of detailed guide. Of course, it wouldn't be of much value to some people who just blast past this and don't need all this help, but this game is suffering and has been suffering for a long time from being beginner unfriendly. So I'm hopeful that specifically beginners will find this really, really useful, and this is for them. So if you are one of those people, please give it a like, leave a comment, don't be shy, and the further chapters of this leveling guide are coming your way. Thanks very much for watching, stay tuned for more, talk to you next time.